The world's first DeFi verification protocol that enables security, automates talent management, and optimizes growth for business in reality and the metaverse. Ladies, gentlemen, and space loungers, AnonyDoxx. Welcome, everybody, to the Space Lounge. I am Tom, otherwise known as Striking here in the great intertubes. I have Carmen Crypto with me here from the Space Lounge, and I also have a Space Rob here from the Space Lounge. Thank you so much for joining us in our continued series of AMAs, bringing you the internet's greatest, the cryptoverse's greatest projects that we all love and believe in. Just a couple of housekeeping things. If you guys are watching us on Telegram, the group cannot hear you. This is a one-way chat, so if you have questions for the team, please drop them in the chat. Tag Carmen, tag Rob, tag myself in it, and we will get to your questions. If you are listening to this on the internet, on YouTube, please drop a comment in. We will put it on screen, and the questions will be passed to the team. And without any more blabbering by my part, ladies and gentlemen, Carmen Crypto.
Welcome, Space Cadets, to the Space Lounge, the AMA channel that brings you the latest and greatest projects in cryptocurrency. Now, projects that present here are looking to grow their token community with real investors like you. Now, we are currently streaming this AMA on Telegram, YouTube, and Twitch. And if you never want to miss an opportunity to meet a new project, please download the Space Lounge mobile app. If you type in the word app in the main chat here, our sexy lounge hostess, Selma Hayek, will post the link for you. This is your way to see a calendar of AMAs, and from there you can select and save the ones that you just cannot miss. This will also send out alerts to you about when AMAs begin and notify you if there are any changes or cancellations. Now for the real talk. Space Lounge is not currently vetting the contracts of the presenting projects. This means we advise every space cadet here to do your own research. Now you all understand the assignment. We will do an interview and we will ask the projects all the need to know questions. From there, we will open it up to questions from you, the audience. Now let's start the show. We bring to you AnonyDoxx, the world's first DeFi verification protocol that enables security, automates talent management, and optimizes growth for business in reality and the metaverse. Here presenting on behalf of the project is Jordan and Jonah. Welcome, guys.
Welcome,
Thanks for having us.
Welcome, guys.
I was hoping to get played into that using that starting music so I could do my little two-step in my squeaky chair for everybody. I was really enjoying that. I've never done that.
I was dancing while the camera was off. Yeah, absolutely.
You're head bobbing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you get a head bob too far, and then accidents happen.
Well,
that's
guys,
how we keep the thunder, and we're so glad you guys are here. I'm going to hand it over to Robert, who's our master question asker.
yeah. How did you guys even get here? That's the question. No, guys, welcome to the Space Lounge. So we're glad to have you. We are well, we're not even a month old yet, but we keep continuing to bring great projects. Jordan, you are muted. I don't know if you know that you're muted if you're ready to talk or whatnot, but welcome to the Space Lounge, guys. And so tell us a little bit about your project. I know that a lot of people are pretty bullish on it. You've got like 4,000 followers already on Twitter, a community that's building up in Telegram, and you guys are launching when?
So we have our pre-sale launching on Monday. So pretty excited for that. And that's going to be at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time is when the pre-sale starts. It's a fairly small hard cap. We had one private sale before that where we sold off a little over 6%, maybe even closer to 7% of the total token allocation. Other than that, it's just the pre-sale, which is another 6%, and then the team tokens, which total 16% as a whole.
Very nice. And where are you launching?
We are launching on Pink Sale.
Okay. Feel free to post your links in here. Your website, any links that you have at all for your project, feel free to pop them into Space Lounge so people can definitely check them out. So tell us, how did you start with the project? How did it all begin? How did you guys meet? Have you guys been in projects before, or tell us how it all started?
So Jordan and I actually grew up together. Little known fact, we're actually brothers. So Jordan and I, we've both been playing in the crypto space, especially pretty heavily over the past 2 years, right? And I think over the past year, especially, we started to notice and had been the victims of rug pulls, right? So you had early last year, you had Shiba Inu, then you had Hoj, and then you had SafeMoon, and all these projects just popping up, and they were booming. And it almost got to a point where no one could be wrong about what they were investing in. And that's when the rug pulls really started, right? So it started when everybody had their guard down. And we had been looking for an entry point in making a token, and we'd been looking at, you know, different KYC projects and how they were treating different tokens, and even going as far as to shop those projects. And what we found is the projects that were being KYC'd, even if, you know, you knew who that person was, there was nothing in the contract to hold them accountable to any type of standards. And there was nothing going further than just who the person was as a whole. No one was talking about what this person was like. Do they have financial crimes? Are they burglars? Are they thieves? Do they have garnishments? Do they have terrible credit and can't open a bank account somewhere? So we stopped looking at the quality of individual. And the result of that is even people who were KYC'd would go out and they'd rug pull, and no one would ever know who they are. And in some cases, people would know who they are, and they'd go online and they'd hop on Twitter and start bragging about it, or let the project build back up and rug pull it again, because there's no standards in the industry. There's nothing for me as an owner of a token that says you can't remove all of the liquidity if you want to. And what a Nanodox does as a whole is, one, we perform the KYC, traditional KYC, and then we have background checks and history checks on everybody. So everything from their last 3 employers to, do they have garnishments on their wages? Have they had garnishments? Do they have police reports? Have they been to court multiple times? We check for everything. You know, obviously some things don't matter. You know, if somebody has a DUI, we're going to look past that and we can pass that person anyway. But anything that has to do with theft, burglary, financial crimes, we vet that out. And then the third part of our process, this is actually the first time we're talking about it on camera. So I'm pretty excited because we wanted to wait till launch to talk about this. We have a liquidity.
Breaking news, breaking news.
I love secrets.
So even the people in our Discord and the Telegram or listen to us on different AMAs, they're going to be upset with me right now because I've never shared this before. But what we have as part of our contract is liquidity governance measures. So if you're going to get our seal of approval, right, and let's say we look at your project and we say, hey, if you remove any more than 6% of your liquidity on a weekly basis, after you get to that 6% number, your holders need 48 hours notice before you continue to remove liquidity, so that everybody can continuously make the right decision about their investment. So we look at that, and let's say the standard is 6% on a weekly basis or 12% on a monthly basis, so that you can't continuously trickle out 6% liquidity every week. If you're using more than 12% of your liquidity as a project in a monthly basis, or more than 6 on a weekly basis, you are setting yourself up to fail. So this is something that gives holders surety, and it gives business owners kind of a benchmark of where they should be, or what lines they shouldn't cross, and gives them, you know, the opportunity to do things the right way. I haven't heard any negative feedback from any of the projects that we're looking at vetting now about that protocol. So that's really our kicker, along with actually knowing the background of the person involved.
So how do you regulate that as far as knowing how much liquidity they're using per week?
So that's a little bit more difficult when you start talking about that, right? Because we can't make an automated tracker for every single project that we vet. But odds are, if they're removing a substantial amount of liquidity, we're going to hear about it because our holders are part of it too. So I imagine as soon as they hit 4 or 5%, we're going to start to get the messages on every single one of our Telegram, our Discord. We're going to see it on Twitter of, hey, what's going on with this project? And that's when we can look. So if you're seeing nothing but buys and the price is going down, which you've seen with a lot of tokens, or seeing very few sells and a substantial price decrease, you can go in and start to really look at what they're doing with their pancake swap liquidity or wherever else they have it.
Well, I can tell you the whole background check, criminal check, definitely needed. It definitely needed, because look, Absolutely. I always say in BSC, as far as doxing goes, nobody cares about doxing. Not when you can rug a project for $3 million. They're never going to find you anyway. Mm-hmm. So they don't mind. And the true doxing is, here's my face. I'm doxing you right now. That doesn't mean you're giving your driver's license. And I have doxed for other projects in the past where I've given my passport, my driver's license, all my socials. Then they want me to put my passport upside down and take a picture next to my face, send it over to them. And that's for doxing with PooCoin. So, I mean, they have a lot of different doxing projects, but they never run a background check. They never, you know what? I have a driver's license, but that doesn't mean I wasn't a human trafficker.
Or convicted of bank fraud.
It's funny now, but I can tell you a project that I was involved in, we found out that there was a guy that was had 12 felony warrants against him for human trafficking. That was part of the dev team. Okay, so it happens. Yeah. They don't care to dox. They lived in a different country, and who cares? But they were they were already rugging this token after not even a month, because they bought in with over 20 whitelisted wallets, and we're dumping them.
I agree. The police background check is something that's really I like that. That makes it more of a legitimate, almost to the point of it being a Wall Street security type thing, and I like that a lot.
Yep. Yeah, DUIs.
If you need it.
DUIs, marijuana charges.
That's not the point.
Ever. Who gives a damn about that? Bank fraud, fake checks, writing fake checks,
violent
that
crimes.
kind of
shooting up the town,
crimes.
Beating up cops.
Oh my God. I was not trying to rip the little girl into my truck. I was pushing her out of the way to simply shoot her father.
So we're like extremely triggered, Jonah and Jordan, because the founders here at the Space Lounge, we all are associated with a token. So we have had the pains of doing business and networking with people that don't have integrity yet, present themselves as such, which I think is why, this should be the reaction that when you talk about your token, when you talk about your utility,
absolutely,
these are the things that people should feel and reflect on, because it's an indication that what you guys are offering is needed. When I was looking through the project and I was looking through the website, not only are you offering an opportunity for us in the crypto space to be able to dox people that are behind a laptop, a desktop, a camera, but you're also bringing this to real world utility using the power of the blockchain. So I come from a career of 22 years in retail leadership, where I'm constantly recruiting people who say that they can produce, and they have this resume, and, people can type up whatever they want. And we have to rely on systems that people like you build to give us the answers on whether or not this is a safe bet to interact with this person. So when you take a look at what you're developing, it means that you also have to build so much trust with the people that are going to dox themselves with you, as well as the people who are going to be using your platform to get the results, to make decisions. So what kind of security measures are you using within your project to build that trust with your audiences and clients?
Yeah, so to start, any project that sends us information, it only goes through one secure server, and then it hits a hard storage. It hits dry storage, never sees the light of day, and we only keep it for the amount of time that our contract is live. So with that, let's say, you guys are all upstanding people, you've got a great idea and a history of profitable ventures in your past, then we'd be saying, hey, we only want to look at you for 3 months, and we're going to do a full background check on you. We're really only going to keep an eye on the project for 3 months. At that 3-month point, boom, your information deleted from the hard drive. No one ever sees it again. Because at that point, we can be fairly confident in who you are. Now, if you're talking about what we do for our holders and what legitimacy we provide, I think a lot of that is in mine and Jordan's background as a whole. So what I do in my daily job, I'm a commercial banker for a major financial institution, and I've been in a lot of different areas within banking as a whole, from risk management to operations to sales. And I kind of understand all those processes, which is where the idea started to tweak in my mind. And what Jordan does for a living is contract recruiting, and he recruits for high-level tech roles. So he'll do anything from a CTO to a C++ or full stack developer, right? And he solves issues for companies as large as MetLife or, you know, 1 or 2 person firms. So with that, as we look to build our utility, we have a substantial business history behind us with HireVise and Pavi, which are our other 2 websites that you can link through AnonyDoxx. And what HireVise is an applicant tracking system. It's all automated. It's relatively frictionless. And again, we have employers who use our system to track applications from beginning to end in their recruiting process outside of a background check currently. And again, they're as large as MetLife and as small as 2 person firms. As far as what we do with Pavi, it's video AI software, and that's already built, that's already out there. Anyone can log in and try and use it. So Pavi is geared towards recruiting currently. And what employers have the ability to do is go through and give 5 or 6 questions to prospective employees. And the employee will go on video, similar to what we're doing right now, and they'd answer those questions. And Pavi uses video AI to gauge everything from tone of voice to quality of answer to quality of how they're dressed to how engaged they seem to how emotional they seem, right? And everything from start to finish on Pavi right there to seamlessly vet through the first layer. And it also has facial recognition software, which is what we built it off of. We built it off of an open source code of facial recognition software and added so much more onto it. So if you're looking for legitimacy of who we are and what we've done in our past that makes us qualified to do this, I think our history speaks for itself already. We're not people who are just breaking into the token space with 0 experience in SaaS-based products or 0 experience in software products or blockchain as a service products. We are legitimate. We've been here for a while.
So Jonah, tell us about your tokenomics and what your holders will benefit from your token.
Yeah, absolutely. So tokenomics, there's 100 billion ADXX tokens. It's built on top of the Binance Smart Chain right now. There's a 6% buy and sell fee. Of that, 2% goes straight to our liquidity pool. 2% gets dropped into our marketing and operational expense wallet. And then 2% gets rewarded back to holders as a whole in BUSD. And that's on buys and sells. I'm sorry, what was the second part of the question? I lost myself in thought there.
That was pretty much the question,
right?
What's your tokenomics and how your people benefit?
Oh, yeah. How do people benefit, right? So,
yeah, that 2%. You said 2% in BUSD, which is pretty nice. So not in tokens.
Excuse me, I'm sorry, I keep interrupting you. I think that's a good start, right? And a lot of tokens, they'll come out and they'll say like, our reflections, that's our use case. And that's not necessarily it for us. So when you look at a Nanodox right now and the token, what you're getting from us day one is our verification protocol, where we can give you access to vetted products and hopefully get you on the whitelist for vetted products, for products that we look to vet, again, at a cost neutral basis for business owners. There's no charge to them. And that's a really good start for our token. But as we move forward, you're going to get introduced to more utilities in that we plan to use ADXX as a store of value, similar to what you would see from an Ethereum or an ADA. So all of our products right now in Pavi and HireVise, they're SaaS-based products, and we have people paying monthly to use them. What we're doing first is we're integrating the token into the SaaS-based products themselves. And then we're turning around and mirroring all of the products in a very significantly different way onto a blockchain, so that anyone who is hiring Solidity developers in the future uses our token as a store of value. Anybody conducting mass interviews, any technology company hiring, anyone hiring really has the opportunity to use our token as a store of value. So you look at that 6% fee, and as we integrate to a blockchain, we have multiple streams of revenue coming in, right? So we've got just the background verification side, and then we have the Pavi video AI side, and then we have the HireVise side. So we have 3 streams of revenue, all using that token as a standard and a store of value. So we're not just built on reflections. We think the real value of people getting in right now is they get to be part of emerging technology as a whole. And sorry, go ahead.
So what happens to the fees that you're charging to dox these different tokens? Does any of that go back to the holders?
There is currently no fee to do that. So as we make a name for ourselves in this business, as we finish up our DApp's entering beta testing for next week, by the way. So we're ahead of schedule on our roadmap. Very excited to announce that. So as we integrate to our DApp and as we make a name for ourselves, we're actually comping the costs of every background check. And there is a pretty significant cost as a company, but if we can't hold our company out from the BUSD we're getting back from transactions from that 2%, there's still no plans to remove liquidity from the project anytime soon. The only reason we would move liquidity is to either bridge to Ethereum, Aave, or Matic, or list with some decentralized or centralized exchange as a whole. If that makes sense.
So free.
Correct.
Of course, Rob got that. He's like free. First, we got secrets.
You heard that part. Free is good.
Very exciting.
That's amazing. I mean, really. I mean, that's. I was just wondering if I were a holder, would I get a piece of that pie? Like if you're charging, 3 BNB to get that done, but you're doing this as a service for, I'm guessing, the holders to make sure that, look, it's safe to invest. And what I said earlier about I didn't try to steal that little girl. That was actually in the court case from an owner of a token. I won't name any names, but that was in the court case for him after shooting up his neighborhood, being drunk. So that's the only reason I said that. So it was kind of a personal joke between me and Carmen and striking balls, but. I like that you're looking out. I always love a project that looks out for the community, that tries to make DeFi safer, because I always say that you can't make it safer. You can educate people on what they should and should not invest in. However, making it safer, it's a little hard. It's BSC. And like I said earlier, anyone can do anything. Nothing is stopping you, Jonah, from taking all your liquidity. There's always someone with the keys to take the liquidity. It's just a matter of whether someone, their loyalty, their integrity, their honesty, whether they're going to take it or not. So with that said, tell me something else really good about the project. I'm pretty bullish on this right now. Carmen, do you have any questions at this point?
I have lots of questions.
I'm going to let you go.
So,
I'm going to let you go. You go.
So I'm an operations officer for another token. And so when I think about the utility of your project, what gets me really excited is thinking about all the, you had spoken about different revenue streams. So it sounds like right now you'll have the capability to do background checks on projects. And that would be something that's going to be at no cost to be done. Would that mean that a project approaches you and says, I want to get verified? And then from there, my question would be, let's say I want to work in the crypto space and I want to be able to reach out to potential clients. And so I want to come to them with proof that I am a legitimate, worker in this space. Would that also mean that I can come as an individual to come and get verified? And then the third question is, what is the result? Is it a grade? Is it a score? Is it a report with everything? What do people learn about me or the project?
I'm going to take those in reverse order because the last question has the shortest answer, and I feel like it's the easiest answer. So the result is a pass or a fail. At the end of this, we either say, yep, we can endorse you, or no, we can't endorse you. At no point do we intend to release your name if you fail the verification. At no point do we intend to dox you or anything like that. It's a simple pass-fail. Hey, you don't meet our criteria. Wish you the best. Sorry about it. As far as you as an individual wanting to get into crypto technology, to Solidity, to blockchain development, to whatever you want to call it, or even blockchain marketing, one of the things that we're doing as we integrate HireVise and Pavi and the AnonyDoxx protocol as a whole is we're building a vetted talent pool, right? So we want ADXX to be the actual background protocol, to be the gold standard in the industry when it comes to background checks. We want HireVise to be the gold standard in finding blockchain developers. We want it to be the gold standard for new projects who are hiring. And we can't do that without a vetted talent pool, which happens naturally over time, but also what we give the people the opportunity to interview for on Pavi in a very general format. So what we're doing is we're building out a very general interview on our Pavi platform. Again, that's our video AI platform geared towards recruiting. And we're going to have five questions for someone who, let's say, they want to be a Solidity developer or a blockchain-based dev. And they can go on there and they can say, hey, this is who I am. This is my experience. This is what I'm about. And we can grade them on that so that when a project is ready to hire, because the barrier of entry in BSC tokens is so low right now. And anyone can go in and they can create a smart contract, but then you have that smart contract blow up or do really, really well. And you're like, okay, well, now what? Who do I hire? Who do I actually know in the industry that I can trust? We want to be that gold standard of finding you people that you can trust, because that's what Jordan does for a living. That's what we're good at, is recruiting and finding talent. So Pavi is going to be an example of how we're going to build a talent block in the community. I'm sorry to give you a really long answer there. And I forgot the first question.
No, I love it. I love it because, basically, was asking, can I as an individual come and get, KYC'd and docs through your system, and then kind of walk away with that badge to show people, like, it's kind of like walking away with a CertTech audit for a project, right? Mm-hmm. It's that stamp of approval to say, I can be trusted and I have, you can do your due diligence on me, but I'm coming with it. And the same for projects too. So, of course, near and dear to my heart, and probably it would work for Rob as well. He comes from an IDO Launchpad platform. I come from, we do AMAs, so we may want to use that kind of service to check out tokens and projects. And then from DBT, we allow people to come in and we could use an additional layer of additional security and doxing. So I see true need for a service like this. I love that you're using a wide array of different ways to optically look at one entity or one person. It's not just, can you get on camera with me? It's more of a background that even employers would use at this point. So when I take a look at my own career experience, it's often difficult because you have to not just interact with the person and find out if they're a good fit, but you have to validate and do due diligence to check their qualifications, and then also check for the background criminal stuff to make sure they're not a bad apple. So I'm just really excited that someone, is coming out with that, because I think that there are competitors out there. But what do you think is going to be the thing that stands you guys apart from the competitors that you already have in the space?
It's going to be the thorough vetting of our process and then the consistency behind what we do. Long term, it's going to be the revenue streams, hands down. I think that there are a lot of companies who do one thing really well, but what we want to do is three things incredibly well. And we want those to be the bread and butter for forever. And these aren't things that we're building from scratch. They're already out there. We're just integrating them into the blockchain themselves. There's one part of the project that we're building from scratch that I'll touch on a little bit later. But overall, they're already built. They're already out there. You can see it. You can test it. You can smell it if you want to. It doesn't matter, right? They're there.
Now, will you have a process that, for example, let's say somebody had gotten a pass from your system, and then I hired them as a Solidity dev and I had the worst experience? Maybe that was just the one moment that they're going to go AWOL. Is there a process for me to report that to you to add to the database, forewarning people about this experience?
I haven't thought about that yet, because you bring up a really good point. There are people who interview extremely well and can get on the camera and tell you everything that you want to hear. And anybody who's been in a management position knows these people. They walk in, they're the cock of the walk, right? They've got every right answer. They tell every right story. But at the end of the day, they don't work out. So it's tough to say, because that's a hiring risk. It could be because of company culture. It could be because ultimately they clashed with you. But if they passed our background check and you turn around there, you're like, hey, we know that they kidnap children for a living in their previous life, then that's something, obviously we want reported. That's huge. It's an unbelievable breach of what we do. And that means we have to refine our process. We block that person out of the community and get better at what we do.
So I have a question. Go ahead. You finish up yours, Carmen, because okay.
I'll leave it to like one. I won't go too crazy.
Okay.
But so one of the things that is one of my biggest frustrations about working with others in the crypto space, especially when it comes to marketing, like marketers that want, to sell services and stuff like that, I may want to vet them. But there isn't quite a record that exists on cryptocurrency to validate and edify whether or not these people have done what they have said they have done. So the data that the lack of data that you have to pull to give this, to add to whether or not you're going to pass or fail them is a struggle. So are you creating some kind of infrastructure where you can get access or build that library?
Yeah, so you're completely correct, right? I envision Telegram right now, right? And I don't know if you guys watched the Chappelle Show, like way back when it came out initially, but there's the one where he jumps into the internet. And there's this guy following him from the moment that he gets in the internet. He just, hey, buddy, hey, buddy, hey, buddy, 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 right? And at the end, he's like, who are you? And it's like, it's me, buddy. That's exactly what people are doing in Telegram. So yes, we want to vet that talent pool. And no, there's really no way to verify except for checking references. So part of the process when a marketer is going to go through and say, hey, I marketed for this and this, and this is my work, and this is what I did, right? We're going to have a background and know who they are. But they're going to need to provide those references. And those references can speak up about how easy or how difficult it was to work with this human being, right? And who that person is and what they charged and whether or not they felt it was adequate. And then we interview that person as well. So long term, we can integrate that into the person on the blockchain, into the background check that will exist on the blockchain. So you look at what we're trying to do, and that's take all of our products and mirror it onto a blockchain. We can add data and NFT that data attached to somebody, right? So it starts to build a network, to answer your question.
That was actually my question that I was going to ask, but thanks, Carmen Crypto. I do have another question though. So I come to you and I tell you, Jonah, Jordan, I want to open up XYZ token, okay? And I'm going to be the owner, the CEO, and I'm going to hire devs and whatnot. You do a background check on me, and I fail. You just say you fail, right? It's pass or fail. I fail, but I don't care. I keep going, okay? For whatever reason that I failed, and I hire a dev and I get things done. Do you let that information out on someone that people should know that I failed because I have done criminal
financial fraud.
Financial fraud, yeah, financial fraud.
Tell me why he might, like, maybe there's a library or something that says
if it's complete financial fraud, bad checks, just terrible Ponzi schemes, the whole 9 yards. Would you let people know once my token starts to roll out?
We would just notate that you failed. So like on our website, on our socials, we're having areas for vault verification. And we're just going to say the name of your project and then fail. And that's it. No one needs to know anything else, because the people that choose to do business with us, we're doing everything in our power to protect them, right? And ultimately, you could be a criminal with a long history and have a very successful token. Who knows? But you don't pass our background check in doing so.
Okay. So if myself and Carmen and Tom are opening up a token, and I'm a pedophile, Tom has stolen so much money from a bank.
But I'm an angel.
But Carmen is an angel. How deep do you go for that doxing? Do you dox every C-level person on that team?
Anybody with ownership or monetary control in the company.
So C-level, pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much C-level, C-suite exec, right? Anything among there.
I like that. That's important, because you always find these projects where there's this one guy that just can't dox. He's never on camera. He never shows his face, and there's always an excuse for it. But,
bonfire. Bonfire.
Super sus.
That's right. Very, very suspect. So I like that you guys. So if it's either the entire C-suite or nothing at all. It just can't be one guy. Now, I understand a dev coming to you saying, hey, Jonah, Jordan, I want you to dox me because I want to be on your list of devs that as a Solidity dev that you can refer out if somebody's looking for a dev that I've got a great background. And you could charge for that service, which would be another way to make some extra money, because if you have a list of 10 devs that are all passed, you can refer them out to people looking for a dev and make some money. But devs would only be one. A token would be the entire team. Because one guy can tear an entire token down to the ground. It only takes one.
Here's my thoughts on that, Robin. I absolutely agree with you. So I've been noticing lately that this space as a whole, tokenized, the tokenized concept has this way of lulling people to sleep when it comes about security, right? So for an example, we didn't look at any of you guys on this AMA before we did it, right? And let's say this was a few months ago when we're doing this AMA, we don't really know who we're talking to, right? And even if we do dox the three of you, I don't know who you've hired afterwards, because there's a system where someone comes in and they're really passionate about your project and say, hey, I want to volunteer as a mod. And it starts with them volunteering as a mod, and then you take them on full time and you start paying them purely in cryptocurrency, and you still don't really know who this person is. You might know a first name, right? You might know, hey, this is Tyler. He goes by, Doxtradamus on here, but you don't really know anything about him. So they're on there for a mod for a while, and then they start to create a name for themselves, and people start to look at them, right? And they're like, oh, this person's really intelligent. He did great work with this project. And he goes out and he partners up with other people who are starting a token, or he goes full time with multiple employers now. So he's modding for multiple people. And then you could get far down this line, and a few years later or a few months later, someone could go and say, hey, this mod is actually a criminal with a significant background. And you didn't do your due diligence, right? So he may have only had access to one project he or she may have had access to one project from a monetary level. And if they stole from that project, if they robbed liquidity from that project, that one, it impacts the other 8 that he works for or she works for, right? The other 8 that mod is associated with. So what I'm encouraging people to look at when they're hiring, even down to a mod, we're doing this background process even for our mods, right? So we had somebody come in and fix our Discord. That's a contract basis. We're not going to look at him. He wants to stay in on a mod, and we're going to go through an entire hiring process with him. And we could be that for people as well. So you're saying we're not charging for, this talent vetting to connect people together, right? And ultimately, we're not charging the talent themselves. But for the company to have access to that, to go through our ATS solution and to go through Pavi and use those services, they are paying us. So you, as someone who wants to work in the industry, aren't going to pay us just to be out there, right? We're not trying to create a Fiverr, at least not yet, of cryptocurrency, right? We're trying to create an avenue for employers who are legitimate to contact legitimate software developers, legitimate blockchain developers, legitimate new CEOs, people with experience who want to work in the industry, and connect people who are willing to put themselves out on the line together.
What are some of the non-negotiables that immediately cause a fail?
Yeah, if you have a burglary or a financial crime, that's it. It's unfortunate, if it was a long time in your history, that's all there is to it. So anything that's like armed robbery, theft, complex burglary, simple burglary, assaults, right? Like multiple assaults. There's very few things that I would look at, because I think about it like an employer, right? There are only a few things that you look at and you're like, you know what? This person seems to be rehabilitated. And if it's one disorderly conduct or one assault, and they can talk to you about that story and explain that story, then you're like, okay. If they have, a couple misdemeanors for marijuana or public intoxication one time when they were a teenager, or minor in consumption one time when they were a teenager or before they were 21, those things aren't like a huge deal. But what we look for is a pattern or even a single piece of theft. And when we're looking at one theft, like one bad thing on someone's record where they stole money or burglarized or maliciously assaulted someone else, right? Beyond like a natural assault, the SEC would categorize that person as a bad actor in the United States. And as we look for more regulation within the United States, we're going to start to see that on products. So on new projects, on new tokens as a whole, what we're trying to do is get people ready for that too. So if one of your developers has one burglary from 5 years ago, I'm sorry, they're not qualified to manage a public fund in the United States. the SEC would look at that person as a bad actor. So part of us protecting our holders isn't necessarily saying that person's going to steal again. It's saying if the SEC regulates and shuts this down, you have no access to get your money back. And another extremely long answer to a simple question. But keep going.
No, I love that.
No, that's great.
We want that information. So when it comes down to the length of time that it takes for you to do this background check, what is the turnaround time so people know what the expectations are?
It's generally going to be pretty quick unless you've lived in like 10 states in the past 3 years. Then it takes a little bit longer. But most of the background checks that we do come back instantly, if not within 24 hours. 48 hours at the most. And that's after we receive all of your paperwork. So like that's after we have 2 forms of ID on file. We have your notarized attestation saying what you can and can't do with your liquidity, your notarized attestations of what wallets you own as individuals, whether or not anyone was allowed to participate in a private or pre-sale that's on the team themselves, what wallet the company owns as well, right? After you go through all this and we start the background check, it generally takes about 24 hours.
And how active is the person who's getting the background check done on them in it? Do they just fill out like a general information form and then it goes through the process? Or is there a possibility that you may come back and contact them with questions?
So part of the process is actually going through an interview. And right now, this process is going to be highly manual at the very least until our DApp comes out. Hopefully within the next month or 2, right? If the beta test goes right, we're gonna automate in a significant way. But right now, it's almost like a person to a person, but with a significant amount of data behind and around the project that's coming out.
Perfect.
So very involved, very involved.
Now, if somebody fails, is there a, like, let's say, for example, you failed them because 5 years ago they had a violent crime. But then again, you know, a year from now, they come back and there has been no incident since, you know, you last failed them. Is there a road to redemption for people who have not passed with you?
You know what? That's a question that's never been asked to me before, and not something that I have thought about in any capacity. So my immediate answer would be no, we won't warn people against the project, right? But we still can't endorse your project for that same reason, for that same felony that you have on file. And part of that is because, again, of the SEC rules and regulations. The other part of that is we can't ever fully verify that you're, you know, not taking a little bit of liquidity off the top. So all we can verify, all that we have is your solid, tangible history with the government, whether you're US based or anywhere else in the world, right? All that we can go for is what data we have and what we see and use it as an individual based off of hard data, not our observations of who you are. That goes into, you know, almost like feasibility of projects, right? So we had a conversation when we started, are we going to do any type of feasibility study on these projects that come out? Are we going to give higher grades to projects with actual use cases? And the answer to that is absolutely not, because we don't know which projects are going to pop or not, right? So like if I saw Shiba Inu when it came out, I would look at it and I would say, you know, that's never going to take off. Dogecoin, never going to take off. And then a year later, pew, you know, so that would put us at a reputational risk and at a market risk as well. So I would kind of look at those in the same way of it's not my place to judge someone. It's the record's place to tell me what we should and shouldn't do.
And with that, saying that it's the record, King Richie from Delish Finance, they are launching on March 25th, by the way. He has a question for you. He says, how do you do a background on a dev, mod, or whoever that is coming to you to docs that is from Africa or any other country that may not be in your reach in terms of vetting them properly, as far as being able to find any information at all on them? So how would you go about that?
So Jordan,
I got this. I got this, Jonah. So there's a couple of things that I want to mention. So we can run background checks in over 230 countries. So wherever you're at, as long as you're in one of those 230 countries, we can get a pretty detailed background check on you. So what I want to say is, if you look at these products and why this is really exciting, is you have every product that we're building is made to automate a human being's life, right? That's what we do. So if you look at HireVise, that automates your recruitment process. You can go and you can advertise your jobs cross-platform, one click with LinkedIn, and manage a candidate all the way through the process. But the point of that is to be in constant communication with whoever your applicant is throughout this process. And I'm going to answer more questions as I go through this that I feel might need a little bit more clarity. So then you look at Pavi. And Pavi is a AI video intelligence platform. So we built this not only to automate that recruitment process, but we can take that technology that we're building and we can use it for different things outside of just recruiting. So for example, we can read a room digitally. And so in this chat right now, that software could read what's happening in the room and it could give the moderator a bar at the bottom of their screen that's going to tell them the engagement level. If the engagement level goes below a certain point, you know as a moderator that you need to back up, you lost the room, and you need to engage them again, right? Because everything that we're doing now is more digitally based than it is in person. It's very easy to read a room in person. So now we have this software that does it for us. So the entire purpose of a Nanodox in that protocol is, one, to verify and actually run full background checks on these individuals. We are looking for felonies or misdemeanors. The things that are going to make you not pass are going to be any financial fraud, any sort of theft, forgery, things like that. That is going to be an automatic no pass. Now, there is one thing that we will do. If you come to us and you fail, and you go and you run your project and we know what your background is, we will issue a warning, because, and our warning is going to be through our network, right? We're going to say, hey, we did not pass this project, and we're not going to go into it. We're not going to tell them exactly who it is, but that project is not going to have our endorsement. So the purpose of AnonyDoxx is to take the protocol, looking at the backgrounds that we could run in 230 countries, and integrate it into our existing platforms, where if you're an employer or a hiring manager, a business owner, you can run a one-click background check on anybody that you're going to bring into your company on the blockchain. But it takes it a step further because we're verifying credentials. So I don't know if any of you have seen where somebody's LinkedIn profile changes from 1 week or 1 month to the next. All of a sudden they have a Harvard degree that wasn't on there before, right? Or the resume changes. All of a sudden they're a software engineer when they weren't that a month ago, right? So we are looking at every single footprint that an individual would make on the blockchain, and we're able to verify those credentials. You guys were asking kind of, if you look at like the marketers that are on Telegram, how do we verify those individuals? Well, we're going to start to have a record of exactly how they're reaching out to people, what they're saying, and as they continue to say that they're working on particular projects, we're going to have a record of what that looks like. And we're going to be able to tell whether or not, what they're telling us compares to, I guess, the current day presentation. So that's why this is so exciting, right? Like, it's a protocol that can go over into a real world use case. We already have employers that are using us. We're essentially looking to get a global reach in what we're doing to continue building out the software. So we do have the DeFi application, or the D app, that is going to be in beta testing next week, that we've been building out. So we're pretty excited about everything that's going on, but I think it's important to understand kind of how that protocol actually connects into the products that we do have and why that's important. The other thing that I do want to clarify is we will charge projects that do not give us whitelist spots. So the way that it works is, we are happy to dox your team and take them through the protocol. And if you don't want to give whitelist spots to our community, you will pay the cost. So you're going to pay the cost to get the protocol. If you give us the whitelist spots and we verify you, we can take that and we can actually give it to our followers and our holders, which continues to benefit the community.
What if they give you whitelist spots and then they fail your test? What do you do with those whitelist spots?
we wouldn't get the whitelist spots if they got to pass first.
I'm joking.
That's Rob being Rob.
Now, what about resellers? So what if I come to you with a project and I charge them one B&B and I send them over to you to get doxed? Are you going to have a reselling type deal to where people like AMA groups, because a lot of referrals come from AMA groups because we're constantly interviewing projects that have not launched yet that need this service. So what about referral services for fees or whatever? Nobody's asked you that question before.
So that's an interesting point. That's building a profitable network of COIs or centers of influence, as I would look at it. So that's something that we're very familiar doing with HireVise and Pavi externally, right? We want every blockchain attorney to know who we are. We want every blockchain accountant to know who we are, so that when their clients come in and they say, "Hey, I'm hiring," they say, "Oh, okay, this is the team that might be able to do something for you." I think that's the same when we're looking at AMAs. So or groups like yours. So there's no plans to compensate directly initially or to allow you to charge people initially. What it does add for you is value for the people that follow you to know that this person's not just KYC, that they didn't just look at an ID and say, "Okay, cool, see you later," right? This is someone who went back and actually did a full background check. So it eliminates risk. It eliminates market risk and reputational risk for the people doing the AMAs right now. And then it also increases your presence because we would list you as a partner as well, right? So ultimately, WAGMI, right? We all gonna make it. And we all want to uplift the community together. And you look at what we want to do as a project, right? It's create a better name for DeFi as a whole. There's so much fear when it comes to cryptocurrency, so much fear when it comes to DeFi, right? And so many people are missing out because of that fear. If we elevate the community and elevate this space in a way that attracts new retail investors, new company investors, right? And that's what we really want to do. We want to attract people to the space, and all of our products are geared for real world use case for people that don't need to use crypto because they can see the power of what's behind it. So that kind of plays into our whole point of we just want to uplift the space and make it better. Also, it's a really good time to say that Jordan doesn't speak enough during AMAs because he answers things a lot more thorough than I do. Like, I'm very high level and he is in the weeds. You guys got to draw questions to him next time.
Which one of you are the older brother?
He don't got time for that. He can do a flash AMA, no problem.
So, yeah, someone says how we make money on this project. Well,
no, that's Mr. Sinister.
Yeah.
He's always going to get down to the nitty gritty of how to use tokenomics. He's that investor that wants to like earn passive income. So he will be the person that comes up and says, how many do I need so that I don't need to buy anymore? And I just live off of that. So if you guys don't know who Mr. Sinister is, definitely engage with him.
Awesome. Yeah, that's exactly how it is. How much of your token do I need to own so I don't have to work anymore?
Uh-huh.
Yep.
That's Mr. Sinister.
Well, Mr. Sinister, there's the BUSD reflections, right? And that's really just to keep our holders happy while we build our products. What I'm going to tell you is something that not a lot of projects are going to say to you outright. We're not going to come out of the gates like a rocket ship because we don't have an immediate revenue stream from the background checks before the blockchain is built, right? But there is no other crypto company that has these multiple streams of revenue moving forward. So after our blockchain is built, you're going to make money from us making money. And that's from doing business on a B2B, business to business concept, on a B2C concept as well, on hopefully what is a mass scale, right? So I like to tell people, and I know this is corny, but we're going to hit the market like you fall asleep, very slowly, then all at once. As soon as that floodgate opens, we want it open. And hopefully it takes off at that point.
So the CEO of Disco Burn Token, Disco Rob, would like to know, can he burn your token?
Yes.
Is it flammable? Is it flammable?
Yeah, I'll send you a wooden copy of it right now, and just keep it away from your children, your animal, and probably outside the house.
Yeah. So with Carmen and myself and Tom, that's on fire right now. We're all C-level. We're all C-level executives in different tokens. So I'm involved with HedgePay, which is an IDO and a staking platform. And then Tom is with DYOR. He's the I'm going to say he's the chief media expert on all of this stuff. And then Carmen's and then Carmen is the COO of Disco Burn Token. So we are all C-levels in different projects on BSC, and we decided to come together as founders on our AMA group here. So we've all got some pretty good experience, years and years of experience in crypto, and gosh, we're glad.
You get all the years all together, I think.
And remember, it's inception time, so 1 year in crypto is actually like 7 or 8 years in real life.
That's true.
It's like dog years. It is like dog years, yeah. So yeah, I've been in it for 4 years, so that's really, the first year is only 1 year, so it's like 21 plus 1, so I've got 22 years.
The crypto math is just as hard as time math when you're trying to set up a meeting across the globe. So,
yep.
You got to know your UTCs, your PSTs, ETs, ESTs. Okay, guys, I have one last question. Is it by design that you're launching your token on the BSC because of the abundant malicious entities and toxicity of scams that happen here? It's kind of the perception that this is what this blockchain is known for, or was there other reasons why you chose Binance?
Yes, in part, absolutely. We wanted to start in the network, and we're going to bridge to other networks, but we wanted to start in the network that's been most effective because we can make the most impact and make the biggest name for ourselves based off of our quality of work. There's also another theory, and someone asked me to build the blockchain on something completely different, and build the token on something completely different. And I won't name the platform, but it's a centralized, decentralized token, right? And everybody's pretty aware of what it is. And what we want to do is gear our product towards retail investors first and smaller products first. So BSC makes the most sense to us. And honestly, if there's money raining from the sky in BSC right now, this is the best place to put out the bucket. And that's just being completely candid. As a business owner, it made the most sense across the board to go through BSC. The simplicity of the first contract, doing less work to get more out of the contract, seeing more scams in the market, the amount of retail investors, the quality of retail investors, right? We don't want any huge whales. We chose to go against institutional money up front because we felt like they would control our process and do something that would minimize our ability to perform what we ethically say we want to do, right? And we want to be a community-driven token that actually gives back to the community, right? And in very significant ways, because they're going to see when they continue to help us market this product, when everything comes out, the amount of potential there is in the entire platform, in just the products all together, and then as one by ones, right? Like background checks, everybody needs those. No government is able to do a background check on the blockchain right now. Background checks don't exist on blockchain right now. We're going to be the first person to try and integrate those SaaS reports, those off-blockchain reports, into a Web3 format, into a tokenized format. And it's going to be a very, very cool thing to see and be a part of. And that's all I have.
Yeah, crypto seems to be the place where criminals can run to and all of a sudden try to redeem themselves as being non-criminals, just to become criminals again. But it does happen. So I don't think there's been any other questions, except for from Disco Rob wanting to know, can he burn your token?
He can.
And he's also done his own math in crypto time, and he is a whopping 89 years old, according to blockchain math.
Ooh,
nice.
Let's see. We do have, a question back from King Richie. Are you telling me that you can literally get the information on people that are from countries that hardly have a database or don't even have an automated system in a way? Because I'm from Africa and there's no system in place, so whatsoever, to check or keep track of people's records.
So if there's no system in place and there's not a true posted judicial system in place, then we probably can't. But 240 countries, that eliminates the vast majority of those, right? So there are countries that we just won't be able to perform our services in inherently, and it's unfortunate. And most of those are developing countries as a whole, and a lot of those exist in Africa.
And I think it's a good reminder to say that there's there's a lot of tools out there that take a look at different variables when you're looking at an individual or an entity, and all of those tools should be taken into consideration. I think what you guys are doing is a robust background of these people, but it is still one tool. You know, it's not the same tool that's going to go through the contract line by line like Surtech will. But you know, that's just to those of you who are here. And yeah, there will be limitations to what kind of information is available, but you can at least throw the net and see what comes back. To not throw the net out is one of the first mistakes you can make, to not try.
And you know, to circle back on something, you mentioned Rob's age is 89 years old in crypto years, right? So my immediate reaction internally was that makes him basically unhireable to everyone around him. So you look at an older person, right, and you start to become unhireable in almost every marketplace, which is just unfortunate.
Yeah, and no baby Doge, senior Doge.
Yeah. So with that, there are other
senior Doge.
Sorry. With that, there are so many other bias, right? You've got unconscious and conscious bias. You have racial bias. You have age bias. You have gender bias, ethnicity bias, religious bias, all of this stuff, right? And some of it's conscious and some of it is unconscious. So the last part of our project that I have not mentioned yet, and I think I'm the most excited about and like bubbles me up the most. So Pavi is a very, very intelligent, predictive, automated video intelligence platform, right? So right now, if I were to interview, an employer would see me for the first time, and they would see the graded way that I speak, and they would see my face, and they would judge my face and how old I am and how much experience they think I have as well, right? So something that we're doing with Pavi, and this is how we're going to integrate into Web3 and the metaverse in such a fun way. Something that we're doing with Pavi over time is we're going to give people the ability to overlay themselves with an avatar. And Jordan said it best when we were talking to Todd Hart a few weeks ago, who's a great, fantastic guy, by the way, if you guys don't know him. If Todd wanted to show up to his interview as a turtle, Todd can show up as a turtle, and he can put that turtle in front of his face and speak. He can mask his voice with a turtle voice or a woman's voice or a neutral voice. And we're grading what he's saying and how he's saying it, and we're giving a rating. So an employer looks at that, and they don't see what Todd looks like until they move him to the next step of the process. So one of our biggest projects, right? And then, you know, past that, that person can continue to have that avatar overlay for meetings in the metaverse that are managed, again, in real time by a little bar at the bottom of the screen by the moderator that shows your level of engagement without ever actually showing your face to your fellow employees, without fearing judgment with your fellow employees. So that takes me to the most fun part of our project, and that is working to minimize and potentially, in some cases, eliminate hiring bias. We want to take out the people who are, you know, too old currently, or the wrong race, or the wrong gender for the role, or maybe the people who just didn't go to the right college. They didn't go to college with the hiring manager. They don't think they have the same shared experience. They don't come from the same walk of life. We want to take that and we want to even the playing field. Because again, everything that we do is to make life simpler. It's to elevate DeFi, and it's to even the playing fields across the board for everybody. Everybody has the opportunity to do the right thing. So that's what I'm most excited about with Pavi. It's going to take us the longest to release, but we're working on it now.
I love it. I love it, man. Yeah. Can I identify as a teapot? Will I have whatever I want to identify as up in there? I just pick one and go. Yeah. That's awesome.
Only if you're short and stout, man. Only if you're short and stout. And if you have a handle and you have a stout.
That's, hey, I'm all about it.
I love that because when I'm hearing you guys talk, you guys, you know, you've already shared what your backgrounds are. And so there's real world career experience that you guys are bringing. You guys are leveraging the power of the blockchain to also bring that security to a space that really needs it. To your point about unconscious bias, you know, that immediately, you know, I think in my head, if I'm sitting down with 6 avatars and I'm trying to make a decision, The unconscious bias comes not from looking at one of the candidates, but looking at a candidate compared to the others. And an unconscious bias means that you don't even know that it's happening. And so to experience an opportunity where you don't even have that inherent behavior come out without you being self-aware of it, it becomes a training for somebody to do better and to think of things, in context, take a look at the framing of the questions and really dig into somebody's quality of answer. So that's fantastic. Just knowing that you guys really do have an understanding of what variables are needed in order to keep this process as integral as possible. So I'm excited for it, you guys. And you guys have your pre-sale coming out on Monday. So can you give us some details? What your circulating supply is, what pre-sellers will get for X amount of B&B, and what they can look forward to?
Yeah, let me pull that up so I don't misquote myself at all. So again, we have a supply of 100 billion. Our listing rate is 1 B&B gets you 36,490,226 ADXX. A maximum buy is 3 B&B. The hard cap for this presale again is very small. We want to hit the ground running, so we only have 100 B&B hard cap.
Huh. That's going to cause a lot of buying pressure when you launch.
Yeah, and you already have such a wild following on Twitter too. So, if you're listening out there or listening to the recording after the fact, you're going to want to check out their TG, check out their the website. They're very active on Twitter as well, because with a small hard cap, that means that you guys are going to have to be there on time to get in on the opportunity.
Yes, we don't anticipate it goes past the whitelist, and the whitelist, you can never really tell if something's oversold or undersold when you're going into a presale. I've kind of learned that, but the whitelist right now seems almost a little bit oversold on our part, which is unfortunate. You're getting the buy tax waived if you buy during the presale, so if you do show up quickly, hit the button. We appreciate you. We're happy to have you along with the journey, along with us for the journey, excuse me. And, if you do end up missing the presale, that's still not a bad thing. Again, we are going to be a slow build. We're not going to come out of here and make a huge amount of false promises with false timelines and try and get you hyped up on some fake news. We're very, very down to earth. We're straight to the point. We've been here before. We've developed SaaS products before. We know the timelines. We know what we're capable of and not capable of, assuming, decent conditions.
I love it.
It's awesome, guys. Great project. And you feel free, even after your AMA, we allow groups to come into the Space Lounge and just completely shill the shit out of your project. So come in, make sure you post what when your pre-sale is going to be, and what link to go to, and keep us posted.
Awesome. Will do. Could I ask you guys a question?
Sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. So when I'm in a room of experience, I always make it a point to ask, what do you see new projects do that ends with them failing? Like, if you could give me any advice on how to build this community the right way, what would you tell me?
I would say keep VC open, be very transparent with your holders, and always be available for them. There's nothing worse than someone coming into your chat room on Telegram, asking a question, and then nobody answering them.
Right.
Not an admin, not a mod, not a nothing. And so we actually have an AMA with Meme Kong on Monday, which is their second one. They since the very beginning of their project, and they're an ETH project, I invested at 1.3 million, and now they're at 30 million. Woohoo! But one thing they guaranteed their project was that they were going to keep the VC open 24 hours a day, and they have. That VC, if anyone comes in, as soon as a new person comes in, they ask them a question or welcome them and say, listen, if you have any questions, join VC. I'm here to answer any questions about the project, because you never know if that person has $1 in their pocket or they have $1 million in their pocket to invest in your project. And if all it takes is just not to answer their question and they leave. So that's my advice. Always keep your VC open, or have someone there to answer the questions or welcome new people as they come in.
My bit of advice is to always understand that, like all businesses, it's a sales process, and every eyeball that comes to you, you have to treat it as I say, exposing your product to the danger of the sale. And when people come and look at your product, you have to understand that just like in the jobs that you regularly do, is that people's first impressions aren't necessarily always what you want to communicate to them. Like a good example in crypto, the first impression for anyone is the chart, even if your chart is not representative of your project, And so you have to understand that the majority of good investors understand. They look at the project, not the chart. But the majority of the actual investors come when you get like 30,000, 10 and 20 and $100 investors from Indonesia and Malaysia. They look at the chart. And so if you if you want to grow your project over time, you need to make sure that you set up. You're doing it by keeping a small pre-sale, so you're not getting big people in that just want to dump after a while. The smaller, if you can do it, the smaller the better. If you could do it with all your own money without a pre-sale, that's even better. But keeping that idea that you're selling your project, you're selling yourselves, just like you're selling your services in your regular business. It's no different. People get all crazy in crypto and forget that it's just like everything else. Got to sell a good product.
My advice, when I take a look at projects that have failed most recently, it's because the leaders do not stick with the plan. They get sidetracked with noise, demands from the investors, when Surtech, when Binmart, when all this kind of, and majority of those expected roadmap milestones for projects that investors demand are not necessarily relevant to the success of what you're trying to accomplish. And so I also see leaders that don't stick to the plan, and they start off with one utility, and then all of a sudden we are a play to earn and we are an NFT, and it becomes the core of their utility, and they've completely like flip-flop from what their initial vision was. You guys have such an amazing roadmap, and the structure is there. You're very clear on your vision. If you guys stick to that, you'll find the people that match your vibe and your energy and will stay with you long term. You're going to have to get over the growing pains of the Moon Boys and the Jeets. It's just the BSC, right?
Right.
I wish you guys so much success and
Absolutely.
luck. For those of you who are listening, when I first got on the phone with these guys, they are looking for organic, true investors who believe in the project, and good projects with real utility and people in the seats that actually have lived this career and are using the power of the blockchain to make this a part of cryptocurrency's story. They want real people in their communities. So this is not a project that, you're getting exposed to and now you're in a pre-sale mindset. This is a long-term investment. They've been very transparent with you that they're not looking to pump this and end up with a Mount Doom. So let's do them a good service and get to know them, get into their community, look over their website, and definitely keep track of them in the Space Lounge, because they're going to be free to keep us updated throughout the entire process. Good luck to Jonah and good luck to Jordan. And thank you guys so much for coming into the Space Lounge and spending your time telling us about your fantastic project.
Yeah, thank you very much for having us.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you coming, and hopefully we'll be able to bring you back after launch, and we'll go over how everything went.
Yeah, hopefully some success in the near future.
Absolutely. And one good thing, guys, about your project, last thing I'll say is that one of the problems with DeFi projects is you find this person to come involved. You guys are brothers, so there's no ass sniffing phase. That's over with. You guys have been sniffing your asses.
Right. Just a little backroom beating going on.
That's right. Just backroom beating, backyard stick beating down, and stuff like that. So you guys are brothers. So you don't have to learn about each other and how each other operates or works or acts. You already know each other. So that's a great thing. That
God, my brother rugged me. Damn it.
Yeah.
No.
Rugged me.
You should have failed.
Yep. So I think that's a great thing as well, guys. And I'm just going to say good luck to you. I think that you guys are going to do very well. It seems like you have everything on the up and up and ready to go. So good luck on your launch on Monday. Absolutely.
Awesome. Do we get to walk out to that same music that we came in on? Because I'm I'm really going to enjoy that.
Tom can probably throw it up again. Then
yeah,
I can, but you won't be on the screen anymore to dance for the whole public, for everybody.
That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. Sorry.
Well, I'll take it from here and take us out. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. We had a good crowd here in the Telegram. We averaged about 25 to 30 people through the whole thing, with a lot of people coming and going. But that's good for eyeballs to get on your project. On YouTube, we had about 30 people tune in over time, averaging about 10 minutes each watching it. And Twitch and Facebook are their usual thing, where they get just a couple of stragglers here and there. But we got your project out, got the word out for you. This project will be has been recorded and will be up on our YouTube channel. It's on our Twitch channel and on our Facebook site, and we will provide a link for you if you want to download it and do whatever you want with it. So whoever is watching this on the replay, thank you for tuning in at another date. And for those of you that watch live, we appreciate it. Send us your feedback and send the Space Lounge to your friends. And I'm going to take us out with that cool music that the AnonyDoxx people want. Have a good day, everybody.
Yeah.